Hi guys, and welcome to the lore dimension. Sort of. I wanted to talk a bit about Star Wars.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
I'm gonna apologize right now if you hear peacock noises in the background. The two babies that the female had in the spring have now been released to the world and are causing chaos. Just making noises, running around, having the time of their lives. So if you can hear them, sorry, I'm not gonna chase them away. So today I wanted to talk about specifically the difference between Star Wars Legends and Star Wars Canon. Now, if you saw my previous video on Jaina Solo versus Rey Skywalker, Palpatine, you'll have heard me point out a little bit the difference between Legends and Canon. Now, to get a little bit more into it in this video, Star Wars Legends is everything that existed as canon prior to the Disney takeover. In approximately 2014, Disney took over Star Wars, bought it from George Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy took the lead, and decided to run everything into the ground. She doesn't deserve the name Kathleen, for one. That's my name. And for two, she was quoted with saying that Star Wars wasn't like with Marvel. They didn't have comic books to go off. She's right. They didn't have comic books to go off. They had comic books and graphic novels and proper novels and novellas and children's books to go off of. I myself own part of the Young Jedi series, part of the Young Boba Fett series. Fun fact, there's a Young Boba Fett series, and it is a phenomenal read, which, now that they've made a Boba Fett TV series, I don't know if the Young Boba Fett series is canon anymore. Because of what Kathleen Kennedy and Disney did, they took everything that existed as Star Wars canon that I knew, because I had been digging into this from the time I was a child. I loved Star Wars. I love Star Wars. They took everything that was Star Wars and said, no, none of that's real anymore unless it's a film. So the Star Wars movies is canon. I believe the Clone Wars is still canon, and then they decided to make the sequels and just throw out all the stories. Hence my comparison of Rey Palpatine to Jaina Solo, because they felt both timeline-wise, age-wise, character-esque, the most similar for comparison. Now, I did mention in that previous video that there's a lot of Kylo Ren that was definitely stolen from the story of Jacen Solo, also known as Darth Caedus. And I'll go into that more in a separate video because Darth Caedus / Jacen deserves his own video. There is so much to that story, and I've done lots of research into it, and that video will come. But for now, just talking about the difference, a lot of Star Wars fans, a lot of original Star Wars fans were incredibly disappointed when all of this came out, and the stories that we knew and loved and were hoping to see brought to life someday are considered legends. Meaning, yeah, the story's there, but it's not accurate to the world. Now, I know there was some hope in the Star Wars community that in Ahsoka, the show, there would be some kind of retcon where they would say, no, nothing of Rey Palpatine is actually real, or that's a different dimension, or whatever, work it in some way that they could stick to the legends. However, with the news that Star Wars Episode 10 is coming out and is going to continue to have Rey Palpatine as a protagonist, obviously that's not the case. I didn't watch Ahsoka, I haven't watched The Acolyte. I don't quite know how I'll feel about either of them at this point, but I'm sure I'll tell you. Because the destruction of Star Wars canon by Disney is something that hit me in a very sentimental, personal place. I mean, I grew up when my siblings and I got chicken pox, and we were homeschooled. So it's not that we were homesick from school, but we were sick and therefore not doing school. We just watched Star Wars. We marathoned the Star Wars movies. You know, I grew up with them I grew up loving them. Initially watching Star Wars, The Clone Wars, the animated show, we got the DVDs mailed us from Netflix. That's showing my age, but that's also showing how long I've been an avid Star Wars fan. And the fact that Kathleen Kennedy and the new people behind Star Wars are trying to say that the only reason that Star Wars fans are upset is because they're misogynistic and they're sexist. Hi, I'm a woman. I don't believe I'm sexist or misogynistic, and I love a strong female character. Hence, Jaina Solo, Saba Sabatine. Not even a human female character, that one. Mara Jade Skywalker. There are so many strong female characters that I would have loved to see brought to life. And now I will never get to see that. And so that's incredibly disappointing for me. So, when trying to tell the difference between Star Wars Legends and Star Wars Canon, if you're on Wikipedia, there are tabs that can switch you between Legends and Canon. Now, there are some things that fall under both. The material is the same. So everything that's shown in the movies will fall under both Legends and Canon. But Legends will vary. It's going to have different things. And I'm incredibly disappointed that we won't get to see the Yuuzhan Vong War or Han and Leia's children. It feels like Disney murdered them, to be quite frank. Jason and Jaina and Anakin will never be alive. Ben Skywalker, Luke and Mara Jade Skywalker's son, doesn't exist. So yeah, I'm incredibly disappointed that I will never get to see The Lost Tribe of the Sith, Abeloth, the Yuuzhan Vong War. I know I mentioned it, but it's huge. It was a huge war and had so many aspects. I'll never get to see the Star Wars that I became attached to and grew to love as an avid reader. And I still have these books, and I will share these books with the kids because I want them to know true Star Wars, what I consider true Star Wars. I'm sure I will continue to see what Disney puts out as far as Star Wars content, but I will also be very hesitant to watch anything because none of it feels true to Legends. And Legends is the original canon. So that was basically just kind of a breakdown of what Star Wars Legends is versus Star Wars canon. If you have any questions about it, feel free to pop it in the comments below. I love to talk about this, even though it hurts me, so I'm open to conversations. If you liked the video, make sure you hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you get notified when we post. I know this is a short one, but time is short. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. And may the Force be with you.